Welcome to the DeFi Penthouse. This episode is all about wrapped ether. In order to use certain tools in DeFi, you have to use ERC20 tokens. Ether itself is not an ERC20 compliant currency. So in order to resolve that, a contract was deployed called the wrapped ether contract, or Weth, which essentially turns ether into an ERC20 token. And it's a bidirectional type of escrow contract. And the way that it works is anyone is allowed to deposit any amount of ether into the smart contract. It gets escrowed into the smart contract itself. And when that happens, Weth, or wrapped ether, in an equal amount is minted and created and given to the depositor. At any time later, anyone else can send that Weth back into the contract where it gets destroyed, and an equal amount of ether that's locked up is released to the depositor of the Weth. Therefore, the amount of Weth that's created and is in circulation should always be equal to the amount of ether that's locked inside of the smart contract in smart contract escrow. And so there's a one-to-one backing. And there is nothing and there's nobody that could ever affect that one-to-one backing. It can't be leveraged. There's no one that owns or controls the Weth smart contract. There's nobody that can ever change the code of the Weth smart contract. It's a truly neutral contract. So everybody's on the same level playing field. There's no company, there's no clearinghouse, there's no one who has access to those funds except for the users on like a flat playing field. And that's a really interesting paradigm, this paradigm of having neutral, ownerless, trustless smart contracts. Because it is zero trust, it is infallible, it is ever faithful and ever present, impossible to shut down, impossible to fail, impossible to become depegged. And wrapped ether, or Weth, is all of those things. And I think if you're getting into cryptocurrency, it's so important to understand the realization that true DeFi applications are all those things. So let's take a look at the wrapped ether smart contract on Etherscan. So to do that, all we have to do is go to etherscan.io, and then we're going to search for Weth, W-E-T-H, which is short for wrapped ether. This one's here at the top. So we know this is the right one because, well, there's 3 million ether inside and it's verified. Always verify, never trust. Oh, we have over 128 million transactions on this smart contract, and you can see all the transactions that have been occurring. People are swapping wrapped ether on SushiSwap, Uniswap, and a lot of other applications. If you want to look at the smart contract code, just click right here where it says contract on Etherscan. And we'll find the verified solidity code right here. I'm going to actually make this larger. Okay, so up here we just see some comments at the top. They're using Solidity version 0.4.18, which is a little bit of an older version, but very stable. So this is where the contract begins. It's called Weth 9. Must be the 9th version of the contract. And it's the one that people are typically using today the most. So here's the ERC20 token standard name, symbol, and decimals. Here are some of the events. These are standard ERC20 events. So approval, transfer, deposit, withdraw. Approval and transfer being the standard ERC20 events, deposit and withdraw being kind of more custom wrapped ether specific events. And then this is really the statefulness right here of the smart contract. This is actually all the statefulness of the smart contract is these two mappings right here. So we have a mapping is kind of like, it's like a dictionary if you're familiar with programming. It's really just it's a map. So it's a list of addresses and then their corresponding integers. And so this is everyone's balance. And then it's another list of addresses which points to a list of addresses which then points to an integer, which is your allowance. So that's it. These are both ERC20 standard stateful mappings you would see on most every ERC20 token. And so then what we have is a series of smart contract methods or functions. And there's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is the entire smart contract code. So quite easy to read, especially if you're just getting started with reading Solidity. Some of the most important functions, of course, being, well, so these here, total supply, approve, transfer, and transfer from, these are actually just your standard ERC20 methods that almost every ERC20 token is going to have. Total supply is the total number of Weth that's in existence. Approve is, it actually allows a user to approve a certain amount of Weth towards another contract or account, so that then that contract or account can spend the wrapped Ether on behalf of that user. Transfer would be for sending this token from your account to someone else's account. And transfer from is the same. It allows you to transfer wrapped Ether from your account to someone else's account. But what's interesting about transfer from is that it allows you to transfer someone else's wrapped Ether or Weth as long as you have an approval for them. And so, well, this is what allows a smart contract to transfer wrapped Ether on your behalf, typically, is what it's used for. And so these methods here, deposit and withdraw, are specific to wrapped Ether. And this is how wrapped Ether is created and destroyed. So what deposit does is, when you call it, you're allowed to send Ether in, any amount of ETH in, with the transaction, which ends up getting escrowed in this smart contract and reflected as message.value, which is kind of a special keyword in Solidity, which means it represents how much Ether is being sent into the contract in that transaction. So it's going to, as you send that amount of Ether into the smart contract to be escrowed, your balance is going to increase by that amount. So that statefulness is now set in the contract. And then you can call a withdraw later. It requires that your balance of wrapped Ether is at least as much as the amount you're trying to withdraw, amount of Ether you're trying to withdraw. It's going to decrement your balance of wrapped Ether by that amount, and it's going to send you Ether that's currently in this contract, escrow, to you. So this is redeeming wrapped Ether for ETH. That's withdraw. Whereas deposit is you're turning in your ETH, depositing it, and then it's giving you wrapped Ether, which adheres to the ERC20 protocol specification. So you could use that in DeFi, in smart contracts that expect currencies to be following the ERC20 protocol standard. Now, something else you can also do on Etherscan is you could actually call those smart contract methods directly with Etherscan's front-end interface. And so, for example, we can call the name method, and it says wrapped Ether. Total supply gives us this large number, which is about 3.7 million. Decimals, there's 18 decimals. You can check a balance of an account. You just paste the public address account of the account right here, query, and it will tell you the balance of that account for wrapped Ether. Symbol, and this will tell you the allowance. So this will tell you that, Alice has an allowance out for Bob for this amount to use Alice's Weth. So you can do that as well. And then you can also write contract methods. So that means these are the methods that are writable. So the methods that you can call to perform some action and change the state of the contract. So with this, you can approve a certain amount of wrapped ether to another account. You can transfer your wrapped ether to another account with transfer from or transfer. And you can deposit ETH right here. So you can put in the amount of ETH you want and click write, and it'll deposit that 1 ETH into the contract, and it'll give you 1 wrapped ether. And then you could also withdraw. So once you have a wrapped ether, you put that amount right here and write, and then that wrapped ether will be sent into the contract, destroyed, and then you'll be given ether from the escrow of the contract to your account in equal amount. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into the inner workings of wrapped ether, a little more insight into how the escrow is infallible and entirely decentralized and trustless and blockchain based, and insight into how wrapped ether is completely neutral and your assets are backed 1-to-1. So holding wrapped ether is truly as good as holding ether itself, and there is no potential for it to be depegged due to the laws of the Solidity smart contract.